Okay, Ray, come here. All right, guys, here's your homework for this week. We are gonna work on Leave It. And I know some of us worked on this in classes right before we could no longer have classes. So hopefully this little tutorial will give you guys some more information to work on until we can have group classes again. So Radar's gonna help me here. He's a little distracted today because we have neighbors working nearby, but we'll see how he does. Maggie may or may not take a dive into the Leave It distraction. We'll see how that works. And Tech's around somewhere. So anyways, with Leave It, there's a couple different ways we can go about teaching Leave It. The way I'm gonna show you today on this tutorial is gonna involve a distraction, which in this case happens to be a jar of dog-friendly peanut butter. And we're gonna use a hula hoop or something like a hula hoop to be a visual barrier for us humans. Now remember, your dogs don't have a clue that they cannot put their feet inside of the hula hoop. And Radar and Maggie have both been taught to do tricks that involve hula hoops. So it's up to me to make sure that my dog cannot get any of their body parts inside of this hula hoop, because if they do, they're too close to the distraction. And if that distraction was a porcupine or a skunk or another dog or whatever it is, you want to make sure that you set everybody up to succeed so nobody gets hurt. So I'm going to place this, you guys wait, about right there. And my yard is kind of not flat, so we'll see how this goes. And when you're working on Leave It, guys, make sure that you have your dog on a leash, because in the early stages, if your dog is not on a leash, it's gonna be really, really hard to make sure that they can't go and take a swan dive into the distraction. So remember, management, set your dog up to succeed. I just have a 6-foot leash with me today. It's just hooked to Radar's collar because he doesn't need a harness when we're doing this in our yard. And I'm gonna take this peanut butter jar, I'm gonna open it up. Super exciting, he knows what it is. You wait, Ray. I'm gonna place this distraction inside the hula hoop. Now, what's gonna happen is that I'm gonna get Maggie out of the way. Go ahead, Maggie, over there. Good girl. I have my treats with me because I'm gonna start to approach the hula hoop. Now, I'm not gonna say Leave It right away, because if I say Leave It too soon, I might end up teaching my dog that Leave It means stand there and stare at the distraction. And if it's a skunk, we don't really want our dog staring at the skunk. So in the early stages of this, you want to make sure that you just mark and reward, so yes or good, and give a treat the moment your dog breaks their focus on the Leave It distraction. Maggie, sit. Next. Thank you. You wait. And peanut butter can be, you know, an Achilles heel for a lot of dogs. So we're gonna start with a lower level distraction in the early stages and work your level up. So anyways, remember that Leave It means keep your feet, keep your mouth, just stay away from whatever it is. Don't even think about putting your feet on whatever it is. So your Leave It list can vary from day to day. It can include other dogs, it can include porcupines and skunks, other people, joggers, cars, dead things, garbage, whatever it might be. So you can use the word Leave It to mean don't even think about interacting with whatever it is. So my Leave It list varies depending on the day and the situation. So dogs can come and go off the Leave It list. If I'm hiking and I've said Leave It and then I realize it's a friend, Radar can go and play. But porcupines and skunks are always number 1 and 2 on my list, and they'll forevermore stay on that list. But I find that I use Leave It a lot when I'm out walking, if I've got people working nearby. Yes, Radar. I'm just rewarding Radar for noticing the neighbor and not barking. So the whole thing is that Leave It is going to be all about prevention. Now, if Radar and Maggie happen to get that dead deer leg in their mouth, which has happened many times before, we're not in Leave It land anymore. We have now gone into damage control, which is now Drop It or a trade game or something else. So I want you guys to try really hard not to use Leave It or Phooey or whatever your cue is going to be. When your dog already has the thing in their mouth, or they're already, you know, nose deep in a dead deer carcass. So Leave It's about prevention, and once your dog has that in their possession, you're in damage control. So again, don't be in a hurry to name it, and when you're ready to name it, your dog should be about 80% reliable with not making a move towards the distraction. It should be checking in with you. So the first step is I'm going to approach the hula hoop. Now again, if your dog is one who's gonna run up to the hula hoop, hold that leash close to your midsection and only give them a little bit of leash. Don't hold them really tight, let them have their head, but prepare for impact. And the moment they start to pull and bolt towards the hula hoop, I want you to plant your feet firmly on the ground and just wait. And when they break their concentration on the hoop, even for a second, good boy for checking that out, you're gonna go ahead and say yes or good and give them a treat. So what you're looking for in stage 1 is any sign that they're breaking focus on the distraction. The moment they break focus on the distraction, yes, good job, here's a cookie. Now, some dogs might walk right past the peanut butter or whatever it is and act like it's not there. They know it's there. They're choosing to pay attention to you. So what I want you to do is make sure that you are rewarding them for choosing you over the dead squirrel or whatever it is. Just for the heck of it, we're gonna pretend this jar of peanut butter is a porcupine. My students all know that I tend to pretend everything is a porcupine. So just humor me and go with it. Or a dead deer. So anyway, I'm gonna approach the hula hoop. You're gonna notice that. I'm gonna let Radar notice the peanut butter. I'm not gonna say his name. I'm not gonna pop the leash. If he's really set on trying to get to the peanut butter, I might walk backwards a few steps. And by doing that, I'm not jerking the leash. Instead, I'm rewarding him, just kind of reminding him I'm back there. And then I'll reward him for checking in. Maggie, stay. So the moment that he breaks his focus, even if he's not actually looking at me at first, there's Tech. Everybody seems to love you, Tech, in video, so I'm glad you made an appearance. The moment that he breaks his focus, even if he's not actually looking directly at me, I'm still gonna yes and give him a reward for that. All right, he's ready to play, so here's how we're gonna do this. Maggie, stay. So we're gonna approach the hula hoop. Yes, good boy, nice job. Yes, good boy. Yes, good boy. Yes, good boy. Yes, good boy. Yes. That was a freebie. Yes. Yes, good job, Radar. Yes, good boy. Those cones out of the way. Yes, good boy, Ray Ray. So all I'm doing right now, guys, if you can see this, because we're really small on my camera, yes, is I'm just saying yes and rewarding every head turn he has away from the peanut butter. Yes, good boy. Oh, too close. Yes, good boy. Now don't do what I just did and let your dog get too close. Yes, good boy. All right. Maggie, sit. Thank you. Okay, ready? Yes, good boy. So if your pup is doing pretty good with breaking their focus away from the distraction, Maggie down, then you're ready to start naming it. And usually I start to name it when they're about 80% reliable with breaking their attention off of the distraction. And I'm gonna name the head turn Leave It, okay? So in the early stages, I'm not gonna say leave it right away. And of course, if you could see, the cat is in the hula hoop eating the peanut butter. Obviously my cat has not learned Leave It. So once again, real life training at its finest. Thank you, Tech. So now Radar has to work on Leave It with his cat eating the peanut butter that he really wants. So okay, Maggie, go find it. I'm gonna get Maggie out of the screen over there. Okay, so I'm gonna approach the hula hoop this time with the cat in there. And I'm gonna show you how to start naming the behavior Leave It. So the moment that Radar, Maggie sit, thank you, begins to break his attention off of Tech and the peanut butter, I'm gonna say Leave It, yes, and give a treat, okay? So let's see how this goes. All right, Ray, ready? Leave it, yes. 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 Yes, good boy. Leave it, yes, good boy. Leave it, yes. So let's move back up here. Good boy. So as you guys hopefully could see, I was waiting for Radar to break his focus on the peanut butter and Tech. Tech's not sure he really liked the peanut butter, but whatever. And then I was naming that head turn Leave It. Now, the whole goal is eventually that you're gonna be able to say leave it as you approach a distraction. Now here's the trick also, guys. Remember that the word leave it or phooey, or again, whatever words you're gonna use, doesn't make the distraction just go poof and vanish. I wish every time I yell leave it that the deer would just go invisible and I wouldn't have to worry. But unfortunately in the real world, that's not the case. So your job is gonna be, Maggie sit, good girl, you stay. That the moment you say leave it and you get your dog's attention back, keep talking to them. You want to keep your dog with you so that they're engaged with you and they're not just going to grab a cookie and run back to the dead deer. So I'm going to pretend I'm out for a walk right now with Radar and we see this jar of peanut butter or porcupine or whatever on the road, and I'm going to say leave it as I approach it, and I'm going to keep talking to him after I reward him for leaving it. So we're going to see how that goes. Ready? Here we go. Radar, leave it. Yes, good boy. What a good boy. Leave it. Good boy. What a good puppy. Leave it. Yes, good boy, Radar. Good boy. You want to try again? Okay. Radar, leave it. Yes, you're the best boy. Leave it. Good boy. Well, back on the screen. Leave it. Yes, good boy. Good job, buddy. Very well done, huh? Yes, good boy. You're pretty much a rock star. So that gives you a little bit of a rundown, guys, on how to work on leave it from the ground. I used this technique with my previous hound dog, Oliver, because he had an obsession with the cat litter pans. So I actually just took the litter pan out and put it in the center of the floor inside a hula hoop, and I did the same behavior with him with that. And he actually overcame his obsession with litter pans that way. So you can definitely set up different leave-its with different distractions. But again, start with something safe, so if your dog does get loose or is able to gain access to the distraction, that's a safe jar of peanut butter. He's not gonna get sick or hurt from just licking a little bit of that peanut butter. So again, you know, the whole thing is start with lower distractions first and work your way up the ladder that way. Usually start inside first and then take your training outside. It's just a nice day. I wanted to do training outside. So hopefully you guys could hear me, and hopefully you could see the little hula hoop set up with the peanut butter and the cat and Radar and all that good stuff. So again, I apologize if I disappeared off the screen briefly. This is still very new to me, so we'll see how that goes. So start small. Start by just rewarding every head turn, yes, away from the distraction first. And then when your dog's about 80% reliable or so with breaking their focus on the distraction, start to name that head turn, leave it, or phooey, or whatever you want to call it. Again, choose a cue that's going to be easy for you to remember when you do encounter that porcupine or that deer in the woods. And then work up to being able to say that cue as you approach the dead squirrel or whatever it is. But work in baby steps, set your dog up to succeed, use a leash in the early stages, and just have fun with it. And the other thing is, remember, leave it's a trick, just like spin and sit and down and bow. So don't say leave it in a really scary voice, even though I'm guilty of that myself. Try to think of it as a trick and try to only say it once or twice when your dog sees something it really wants, like a chipmunk. And if they are not leaving it alone, it means they're not quite there yet with the distraction level. So go back to just rewarding them for checking in with you first and help them out. Set them up to succeed and just have a good time. If you have any questions, shoot me an email, send me a text, and have fun, guys. Okay, Ray, good boy. That was very good.